Well, given how crazy the Australian SUV market is, it's easy to forget that BMW effectively reset the bar of what an SUV was capable of with the X5. So it's fair to say that BMW understands SUVs and what they need to do. And this is the all-new BMW X3. There are three models available. There's a mild hybrid four-cylinder, there's a plug-in hybrid four-cylinder, and then there's a performance mild hybrid six-cylinder with M Sport badging, something for everyone. What's most interesting to me is that BMW Australia tells us they've had about an equal level of interest in all three models. I would have thought the plug-in hybrid might be the most popular, and that may end up being the case, but certainly ahead of the launch, BMW has had interest across all three model variants. X3 has always been a core part of BMW's strategy in this country since it launched in 2003. This new version will be very, very important for them. Let's take a look at pricing and spec first. The range opens with the 20 xDrive, which starts from $86,100 before on-road costs. Next up is the 30e xDrive, which starts from $104,100 before on-road costs, while the M50 xDrive starts from $128,900 before on-road costs. The most affordable X3 gets four-cylinder mild hybrid technology. Then there's the step up to four-cylinder plug-in hybrid technology, while the M50 gets six-cylinder mild hybrid power. Performance is sharp across the range too, with even the 20 xDrive making 140 kilowatts and 310 newton meters for an 8.6 second run to 100 kilometers an hour. The 30e xDrive makes 220 kilowatts and 450 newton meters and shaves 2.3 seconds off that 0 to 100 kilometre an hour time for 6.2 seconds. Adding an M badge gets you a chunky 293 kilowatts and 580 newton meters and just 4.6 seconds to 100 kilometres an hour. While traditional thinking might have had multiple models, variants and grades, it seems to us that a less complex approach makes the buying decision easier. The plug-in hybrid X3 gets a 19.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack that is claimed to deliver up to 91 kilometres of pure electric driving based on local testing. The WLTP test claims 81 to 90 kilometres, and with a fully charged battery pack and a section of highway running, we got 80 kilometres in the real world at launch, and I reckon 90 kilometres would be achievable in stop-start city traffic. You know, driving the X3 around a premium golf course like we are now is pretty much the kind of place you'd expect to find it. It is a premium SUV for people who don't necessarily have to have a premium lifestyle, but have premium expectations. And a lot of that comes right here inside the cabin. Comfortable, quiet, insulated, beautiful fit and finish, lovely choice of materials, high quality leather, heated and cooled seats, huge big screens, infotainment touchscreen that works really well. At launch, we've tested wired Apple CarPlay, so we haven't tested it wirelessly yet. We haven't tested it with Android Auto, so we will do that once we get the vehicle post-launch. We've had the cooled seats going. It's very, very comfortable in here on a longer trip. We've probably done about 100 Ks to get to our destination this morning. It's lovely, comfortable, quiet, beautiful car to drive on the road. And I think Aussies are starting to consider plug-in hybrids a lot more than they otherwise might have. And this one is going to make a lot of sense to a lot of you. And the reason I say that is BMW claims around 90 kilometres range as a pure EV. In the real world, that's going to be somewhere around 80 kilometres. And the reason that number is crucial is because the majority of us in Australia do less than 80 kilometres a day commuting to and from work. So that means if you buy an X3, you can drive to work and back Monday to Friday, never use any fuel. And then once you get to the point that you run out of fuel, if you've got to go for a longer drive on the weekend, you just have a regular car that does regular car things. And that means that at the point where you run out of electric charge, you revert to the internal combustion engine, which is a reasonably punchy little four-cylinder, and you just drive it like a normal SUV. So I think that makes a lot of sense to a lot of Australian new car buyers, because the other factor with a plug-in hybrid is the complete lack of infrastructure that you require. You can just charge this overnight off a regular power point in your garage or in your carport, and you don't need any exotic charging infrastructure at home or costly charging infrastructure at home. You just charge it off a regular power point. In terms of the drive, BMW has the slogan that you're all aware of, the ultimate driving machine, and I think there is an element where you can say that SUVs aren't the ultimate driving machine. You know, performance sedans or performance hatchbacks might be a closer definition of ultimate driving machine. But as far as SUVs go, the X3 is a lovely SUV to drive. It is tied down, it holds the road, it deals with uneven surfaces pretty well also, because these are all running around on pretty big wheels and skinny tyres. So you could expect them to feel a little bit too firm on Australian roads. They don't. They're pretty comfortable. And I think that sense of insulation inside the cabin is a real factor as to how comfortable this is on longer drives, because the further you go in a car, the more you notice the things that make it tiring or annoying. This has barely any road noise that enters the cabin, wind noise kept to a minimum, and it's just a lovely thing to drive. It really is. So I think if a plug-in hybrid makes sense for you, then you should absolutely have a look at it if you're looking at a premium SUV. Now, there's one other thing too about the drive experience of the plug-in hybrid. The transition between electric and internal combustion is very smooth, and in terms of whether you can feel it through the driveline, almost imperceptible. It just happens, and occasionally you'll be driving along and you'll think, oh, the petrol engine just kicked in again. So it's very smooth and very well sorted, and I think that also sits neatly with the premium expectation of a car like the BMW X3. Now, something I'd like your feedback on before we wrap this up is the styling. I actually don't dislike the new X3. What do you think of the grille? What do you think of the overall styling package? I think that the front end of the new BMWs particularly has started to grow on people. Aussies were a bit skeptical initially. I think this grille looks pretty good, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Now, across the 3 model range, unsurprisingly, the BMW X3 is impressive. There's a lot of value for money, a lot of standard equipment, and I think crucially what you expect from a BMW, an SUV that is enjoyable to drive. They've ticked that box. I think that is incredibly important, and this is a really premium feeling SUV as well. Now, don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed the video. Click on subscribe so you stay up to date with all of our latest video content and the full review of the brand new BMW X3. That's over at Drive.com.au.